The Chinese Zodiac can tell us a lot about ourselves, from our hidden strengths to our greatest weaknesses. But how accurate is it? And do the animals on the Zodiac have any significance in Chinese mythology? Those are the questions we're going to be answering today, with a little bit of your help if you don't mind. See, last episode I went through the astrology and mythology of the snake, because 2025 is the year of the snake. But next up is the horse, and if at least one of your signs is a horse, I could use your insight. Now, if you're already confused, I should explain that according to the Chinese Zodiac, we all embody 4 different element-animal combos depending on the year, month, day, and hour we were born. Here in the West, we focus mostly on the year, but by getting more specific, you can get even more insight. If you want to learn how to determine your 4 signs, as well as how all the animals wound up on the Zodiac in the first place, you can check out the first episode of this series. But if you already know the spirit of the horse lives in you, then you probably want me to get this started already. Because the zodiacal horse, or zodiacal horse, however you want to say it, it's gotta be zodiacal, right? According to the Chinese Zodiac, those born under the horse's jurisdiction are all about getting done. Just like real horses, they're results-oriented powerhouses who are full of energy and always ready for action. Appropriately, the horse presides over the hours of 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., midday, when the sun is at its peak and people have the most energy. Unless they're on their lunch break. Its natural element is also yang fire. Like their animal counterparts, the astrological horse is always ready for action. Their internal flame is fueled by competition and the desire to prove themselves, extremely valuable qualities to have on any team. Another important aspect the astrological horse brings to the table is decisiveness. They have this uncanny ability to make a decision quickly and commit to it without a second thought. This is in part because they don't bother looking beneath the surface in most situations. What they see is what they get. It is what it is the horse's mantra. That can definitely be a strength. Like I mentioned last episode, I personally struggle with over-evaluating decisions, leading to paralysis by analysis. The horse does not have that problem, and in a way, I kind of envy them, because while this may result in a few mistakes and the occasional catastrophic failure, the horse is never really fazed by it. They just keep moving forward, and their ability to make such fast decisions means they usually manage to climb out of the hole they dug for themselves. It's a bit of a roller coaster, and not everyone is suited for that way of living. Hell, deep down, even the horse can recognize when they're in over their head, but you would never know it, because they compensate for that insecurity with a false confidence that convinces most everyone they have their shit together, making them well suited for careers as politicians, lawyers, and salesmen. But if it sounds like I'm painting horses with a broad brush, it's because I am. However, the nuance that you seek can be found by analyzing how the 5 different elements of the Zodiac interact with the horse's natural yang fire. First though, I've got a message for my fellow small business owners and those with a side hustle that you're looking to take to the next level. Our sponsor Squarespace is here to help. Because having an aesthetic, functional website is not only crucial for showcasing what services you offer and communicating your brand's identity, it also goes a long way in legitimizing your operation to potential clients, customers, and your community. It shows that you're a professional who can be trusted, and thanks to Squarespace, you don't need to be a professional web designer to build your own website. From their AI-powered website builder that can generate a professional site using just basic information about your industry and personality, to the Fluid engine that lets users drag and drop elements wherever they want without any coding required. Hell, they even adapt your site to mobile screens automatically so you don't have to worry about it. And from there, you can implement any other features you see fit. List homemade goods for sale, create a portfolio for your art, charge one-time fees, or offer subscriptions in exchange for content. I love and trust Squarespace so much that I use them to build my own site, messeduporigins.com, where you can listen to the podcast, read a short list of my favorite resources, and connect to meremortals.store to pick yourself up some merch. So if you want to join me, you could try Squarespace out for free by going to squarespace.com/Jon Solo, or hit the link in the description. Then when you realize you love it, use code Jon Solo for 10% off your first purchase. So like I mentioned earlier, you do not have to be born during the year of the horse to be influenced by its sign. The month, the day, and even the hour of your birth are presided over by one of the 12 animals on the Zodiac and one of the 5 elements. The first element is wood. Known for their artistic attributes and abstract way of thinking, these creative juices are like kerosene for the flames of passion burning inside the horse. As a result, the horse brings the competitive spirit they're known for to their artistic pursuits. Sometimes this is a good thing, like in a space such as YouTube, you gotta have a competitive spirit if you're gonna make these sacrifices necessary to succeed. The danger lies in letting that competitiveness supersede your artistic vision. That's when you get comments saying that you fell off. So if the wood element is like kindling to the horse's yang fire, then you can imagine the inferno when the fire element gets involved. Fire horses are bucking broncos that are nearly impossible to bridle. Their inner fire rages and they pursue their goals like they're on a warpath. No hesitation, no surrender. Now, earth horses are a lot more grounded. They have the same competitive drive and relentless determination that all horses do, but they aren't as explosive. They're more methodical, reliable, and steady. So when shit hits the fan, they stay cool, calm, and collected. The element of metal is all about exactness. They wield words with the same precision that a samurai or a fencer wields a blade. Also, like a sword, metal horses have an edge on them, as their razor-sharp mind can easily construct strong arguments that cut down their opponents. The fifth and final element is water. And as you can imagine, water is the most effective at pacifying the horse's natural yang fire. That fire is essential to the horse's being, so it can't be extinguished completely, but it is a lot calmer, like a fireplace as opposed to a bonfire. Because of this, water horses are supposedly more relaxed and introspective than the others, and while they're just as competitive, they don't have that same desire to dominate their competition. They'd rather coexist and learn from them. Just be careful not to make the mistake of disrespecting a water horse or someone they care about, because that's when they'll drown ya. So that's what Chinese astrology has to say about the horse. But what role does the literal horse, like the animal, you know, the one with hooves and a tail and it goes... That's so stupid. What role does that horse play in Chinese mythology? Well, to start, horses have always had a nearly sacred significance to militaristic cultures. With this in mind, I've actually heard the argument that man's best friend should not be the dog, but the horse. Personally, I'm a little biased on that one, but I think there's a fair argument for both. Because both were domesticated over thousands of years and are believed to have evolved with traits that made communicating with humans easier. For example, dogs have more facial muscles than wolves, so they can emote to their masters, while horses have the ability to read and react to the facial expressions of humans. Our primary resource for this series, the Chinese Zodiac and other paths to luck, riches, and prosperity, creates an interesting distinction. Dogs are soldiers on the defense, more often than not standing guard, while horses are on the attack, running headlong into battle with their masters on their backs. That's why horses have long been a symbol of militaristic strength in the Eastern world, and why the astrological horse is known for its warrior spirit. Looking beyond the literal horse, there's a few horse-adjacent mythological creatures that share some horse-like qualities. For example, horse face. And no, I'm not talking about your mother.
Leave the mothers out of this, all right?
Horseface was one of two notable guards of hell. We'll talk about his partner, Oxhead, in a future episode. You get 3 guesses what animal he is. In addition to guarding Hell's entrance and dismantling any would-be intruders, besides Sun Wukong, the Monkey King made him look like how Brett must have thought Marcellus Wallace looked. Horseface also escorted deceased souls who needed some direction once they arrived in Hell. The unlucky ones would see Horseface again later, when he carried out the brutal punishments ordered by King Yama. A considerably less terrifying horse from Chinese myth is the dragon horse known as a Longma. Apologies if I'm butchering the pronunciation. Now, at risk of being confusing, if I understand the history right, dragon horse was a term used to describe real horses that were 8 feet tall and over. But there's a mythological creature too. Longma have the bodies of horses, but also share some qualities with dragons, like they have scales and use wings to fly. Although, according to some sources, they're actually running on the air, and can only do it for a short time. Seeing a Longma is considered a sign of good fortune. I don't know about for you personally, but at least for the kingdom you live in, as they were considered a good omen that a wise king would soon be on the throne. The Qilin is also kind of like the Chimera from Greek myth, in that its body is an amalgam of animals. It has the body of a deer, usually covered at least partially with lizard-like scales, the tail of an ox, the hooves of a horse, and 1 or 2 fleshy horns on its head. Without the scales, Chillins would sound a lot like giraffes, but Chillins have some mystical powers that set them apart from their long-necked brethren. For instance, it's believed that a light made by burning the Chillin's horn grants one the power to see into the future by staring into a bowl of water. Sadly though, this requires cutting it off the Chillin's head, which I assume hurts the creature quite a bit. Fortunately, they aren't easy to track down, as they only appear after the deaths of significant figures like sages and beloved rulers. But now's the time where you let me know how dead-on accurate or completely wrong my breakdown of Horse Astrology and Mythology was. Let me know in a comment, then remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode where I talk about goats. Until then, my name is Jon Solo, and remember, Jon shot first.